my goodness. Hello and welcome to the BMW IBSF Skeleton Women's World Championships. We're at Innsbruck in Austria, the double Olympic venue, ready for the second of 4 heats of this competition. And we have a great-looking field of tightly placed athletes as we get into the second run on our first day. Martin Haven and Olympic and reigning world champion Elizabeth Yarnold alongside me. And Lizzie, first heat, lots to think about and a very entertaining podium.
Yeah, it is a really entertaining podium, especially as with this track in Igls being a short track. I thought that the push was really important, but actually the top 3 athletes have like midfield pushes. So Annie O'Shea had a fantastic being in 3rd position. The home girl Janine Flock in 2nd position. Really nice sliding actually. She looked very in control. I can't wait to see how she does for the rest of the competition. She knows the track better than anyone. And then in 1st position so far is the ruler of this year's World Cup, Tina Hermann. She's won 4 races so far on the World Cup and she is absolutely dominated. I think her gap is a few tenths, isn't it? So she's got quite a nice gap going into the second run.
Well, the top 2 only started 12th fastest. Now, we say this is such a short track, start is everything. In the men's field, maybe it is, but in the women's field, it definitely doesn't seem to be. Knowledge, experience, and being able to control the mistakes have got Tina Hermann to the top of a tightly fought pack. And look behind Elizabeth Vache, Jane Channel, who were 3rd and 4th last year in Winterberg. They're 5th and 6th at the moment. And the big sensation, maybe the first heat, Kimberly Boss. Never seen her on TV before. A rookie, she's only in her 2nd year of sliding skeleton, and she lies in 7th place for the Netherlands. A stunning debut. 26 sleds went down, all safely completed the first heat. We now go 20 down to 1, and then the remaining 6 sleds to set our overnight field. So what about this second run, Lizzie? Looking at Annie O'Shea there, she got first off. She's in a top 3 position. Where's your head now? What are you trying to do?
The fact that she was first off for the first run, she had a whole hour when she was resting and maybe watching the other athletes in their first run, trying to not get distracted by them. And then again, because she's in the top 3, she's got a massive wait before her second run. So maybe eating some food, doing another warm-up and trying not to lose her head.
And what about the snow? We just saw Yulia Kanakina, the ballet dancer, doing her bar exercises. It's starting to snow a little bit, and as you say, Annie O'Shea there, she's going to have to wait an hour in the snow. Is that going to play on your mind?
I think for all the athletes who are later in this second run, so the better athletes, the snow may be an issue. It will be playing on their minds because where they're warming up, they've got these massive glass windows where they can see the snow coming down and hopefully see the people in the track sweeping the snow away.
So we'll go 20 down to 1. Annie O'Shea will be 18th off. Janine Flock 19th off, and currently the Tina Hermann will be 20th off. Then we go 21 to 26, so Corinna Meyer, she'll be trying to break into the top 20, as will all of those outside it, because after 1 heat tomorrow, we just go down to the fastest 20 sleds. Women's World Championship Heat 2 of 4 kicks off with Russia's Yulia Kanakina, Martin Haven and world champion and Elizabeth Yarnold alongside me. Yulia Kanakina, 20th after the first heat. 2nd fastest starter in the field, 5:25 getaway.
Yeah, I mean, her first run was actually pretty clean. I wasn't quite sure why she didn't have so much speed down the bottom of the track. So what she's looking for in the second run, when the ice is really well prepped and it's just been spritzed, so the ice is as quick as it will ever be, she needs to make up a lot of speed and move up the ranks ahead of the second day of competition tomorrow.
Girl in front of her, Jacqueline Narracott of Australia, is only 500ths of a second away. If she picks up a 10th, she'll move up 2 or 3 spots, and those are the gaps so tight down the field. Little skid from 7 to 8.
Yeah, I think she's got a few errors here and there. She's moving about, her toes are moving, her head's moving from side to side. So she's making small adjustments going down the track. And going through this labyrinth, you can see she leads with her head coming off of the corners.
115 kilometres an hour down at the bottom of the track. Just looking to see if I got a note of how quick she was going in the first heat. Looks like it might be just a little slower. But whether that is her or the ice remains to be seen.
I bet she's feeling a huge amount of relief right now. Her first World Championships, the first day is complete. So this is the start. Really nice start technique. Her last push up, you can see all the ice flicking because it's so warm. The ice is breaking away at the push. Into position, quickly trying to get her arms in. And this is the exit of Kreisel here. Really nice, actually. She held the sled onto the corner and a lovely line into corner 8, middle entrance into corner 8, and a nice round line.
There's your race leader, former ballet dancer Julia Kanakina. 500s quicker than her in the first of our 4 heats was Australia's Jacqueline Narracott, the girl from Queensland, Australia.
So in Jacqueline's first run, she had a few mistakes down the track. So this run, she's probably looking to clean it up, keep in position, and try and move up some spaces through the race.
5:54, a little slower than her first start. Finished 16th in last year's World Championships in Winterberg in Germany. Lizzie won. 1800s behind.
It's quite a different track though. This is a much shorter track and it's different steering that's required. So that's why it's a good challenge for the athletes when we have World Championships at different tracks. Now into the Kreisel. This looks like a much better run for Jacqueline actually. It's cleaner, a little tap there. That was a shame. And then a little brush before corner 9. Come on, try and get it back, and a massive skid there before corner 10.
Well, she was 100th behind, now she's in the green, but she drops behind again. Is she going to be in front or behind at the line? There was only 500ths of a second between her and Julia Kanakina in the first heat, and she goes down by 300. So Kanakina, a little bit of a smile, she moves up 1 spot.
So you can see how 2 minutes of competition, Jacqueline's behind by 300ths of a second. That's how close skeleton racing is. That is how tough skeleton racing is. And she looks exhausted. Everything goes into it.
She was really depressed after the second day of training.
So there's a little brush on the exit of Kreisel. So I think she needs to work a little bit harder in Kreisel to control the pressures. They can throw you about a bit. These are 3-4 Gs of pressure. Brushing the wall before corner 9.
Well, you hear it in golf and tennis all the time. The timing is off, the swing's not there, and it seems to be the same in skeleton as well. If your timing is a little bit off, you just miss everything by a fraction. Next up, Canada's Lynette Prediger, 27-year-old, 36-year-old now, from Calgary, Alberta. She actually started sliding because a doctor that she works with at the hospital was going up to the track and invited her along. Now look what that's done to her.
So you can see that Lynette is actually pushing across the sled. She's a left-hand pusher and she's in the right-hand spur. So that's the best line into corner 1. The athletes are thinking about pushing hard, but how that's actually going to influence their line into the first few corners of the track. This section here is very flat and you want to let the sled run as much as possible. And Lynette's both first and this second one, very clean, very smooth, and she just needs to pick up a bit more speed at the bottom.
Now, your natural inclination, you would think, when you sprint at the start and then lie down, you've got to concentrate so much, is not to breathe. How do you regulate your breathing on the sled?
I don't think any athletes think about how much they're breathing. I did actually sneeze a few times at Whistler when we were travelling 90 miles an hour, but you're holding your position desperately. It's a relaxed tension in your shoulders. So Lynette's thinking, having to react very quickly in this fast section of the track. And now she'll probably be feeling quite breathless and take a moment to get up at the end of the track.
She takes the lead from Julia Kanakina. That was only 700 slower than her first run. And so far, the previous 2 sliders have been well over a third of a second, nearly half a second slower.
Yeah, it's interesting that the track, even though it's been spritz between the runs, has got a bit slower. So here Lynette's pushing across the sled. The far away runner is in the spur. And she's quite low. Oh, she actually just hit the saddle there, where the arms tuck in. Her leg hit the saddle. So that will slow her down a little bit and probably just, take your mind off of what you're focusing on. But her eyes look fierce. She's here to compete.
Well, you see her look down and then look up to get herself into that sliding mode. What's your tell? What do you do to switch your brain over?
So I think as soon as your hands are holding tight onto the sled, you've got to go from the explosive start where Donna's, getting herself ready to push hard. Once your arms are in position, then you're calm, sliding the track. So Donna's pushing closest to the sled, to the runner that's in the spur, using her head just to pull her across from corner 1, a bit early into corner 2, but she's quite relaxed onto the sled, using her head to help her steer. She actually avoided that wall on the left that she did hit in the first run, so every run is an improvement.
So little speed at the top of the track. How do you stop the sled from meandering?
So it's a combination, steering with your shoulders, your knees, you can steer with your toes and your head as well. So you need to know how much you need to do, as little as possible. That's the ideal. She's well into the green here, and now that's a perfect line. A shame that she just tapped the wall, but now we're in the fast section of the track, and she had 4/10 going into this fast section.
Scrabbling a little like she was in the first heat, just a fraction behind. 3/10 up. She was 5400ths up early on from her great start. Well, she picks up 1400 of a second of a lead over Lynette Prediger.
And that's great for tomorrow morning, because you need to go as early as possible. You want to go as high up the rank as you can for the best ice.
So how many spots will she move up? She was only 600ths behind the slider in front.
Technically, Donna's push is pretty much spot on. Her arm is just behind the sled, so all the force is going down and forward into the sled. Her knees are up. Fantastic. Lovely line tonight. She just brushed that right wall and it directed her immediately to the other side.
Everyone back home, love you lots, hang your news.
Thanking all friends and family. That's what pushes us on.
Well, this is the support, isn't it, that allows you to
Rick.
compete.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up, Kendall Wesenberg from the USA, a World Cup rookie season for her. Well, what about this? Coming into your first World Championships, wide-eyed and kind of slightly deer in the headlights. What is it like to compete?
You know, it's going to be tough for Kendall, because you've got Katie Yolanda, who's hugely experienced. Kendall can learn from Katie. And Annie, who's in 3rd position now. You know, the American team is looking really strong. They've got strength and depth, and they've got performance this year. And Kendall, as we said in the first run, she looks really comfortable, really smooth, even though she's been doing it 2 years, less than 2 years, really.
Well, perversely, maybe that takes the pressure off, because there are 2 big names in the US team, and she can just relax and be herself,
You
maybe.
can never relax in the first World Championship. She must be so nervous. And now in this bottom section, from not panicking and relaxing on the sled, she's picked up as much speed. A bit of a fishtail in corner 12. I'm sure we'll see that in slow-mo in a minute. But generally, 90% of that run is very nice.
Just 600 of a second slower than her first run. That's a nice-looking slide. 200's quicker at the top and 600 slower at the bottom. So great consistency from Kendall Wesenberg. I'm very impressed with her this season. She's just taken all these new tracks in her stride. Just nothing phases her.
So here, corner 11 and then into 12. She was late into 12, which means she had late height. The sled flew up and her leg kind of just flew off the sled with all that pressure. You're going so fast down there, it's hard to react.
Takes the lead from Great Britain's Donna Crichton. First of our 5 sleds are down. Kendall Wesenberg leads from Donna Crichton. That's your 1-2. Second slide of 4 of the Women's Skeleton World Championships. Martin Haven and Lizzie Arnold watching the action. Joske Leconte in the Netherlands, first of 2 Dutch sliders in this second heat.
So Joske's first push was only 500 slower than Tina Herman, who's winning the race. So you can go from that kind of push speed, a sort of a midfield push speed, and do well at the bottom if you get all the steers right. So far, this is looking like a really nice run. The top of the section of the track is the easiest part of the track. It gets harder and harder the further down you go. But her head's down, her shoulders are down, and her toes are together, which means she's not panicking. She's relaxed.
Form is looking very strong, gets a good exit from the Kreisel. What about, she changed last year in the middle of the season to a Bromley sled, very different from what she's been on before. How long does that kind of take to adapt, do you think?
Yes, sleds, changes of runners and things can take time to get used to. Mainly because the track is changing each day. The ice feels different every day. You know, if you go out on an icy day, sometimes it's slippy ice, sometimes it's grippy ice. So major changes like a sled would take her a season to get used to. And now that looked really tidy. The first run she had a big hit, 9 to 10, and the second run there was beautiful.
Just 700 slower than her first heat, but she looked much more in control. Aaron Glass with the sled.
Again, we're watching the push. So Joska's arm is slightly behind where she's contacting the sled, which means all the energy is going forward and down into the sled, and she's pushing it forward. She's not in front of the sled. This is 9 to 10, where she made a mistake in the first run, and that is lovely. Moving her legs a little bit to help her steer.
Takes the lead from Kendall Westenberg of the USA. So Joska, the most experienced of the Dutch sliders. Got a couple going in the Youth Olympic Games at the moment as well. Now here is huge starting Marina Gilardoni, third fastest getaway, former double junior world champion as a bobsled brakewoman before she drove a bobsled once, hated it, and then came over to skeleton.
Yeah, skeleton is such a fun sport. She absolutely loves it. Her home track, being a Swiss athlete, is the home of skeleton sliding. It's in St. Moritz as well. It's about letting the sled pick up speed, enjoying the speed in the bottom and not panicking, not doing too much. Because in the first run, Marina had quite a messy run. She was using her toes quite a lot, and she must have adjusted the sled between runs, because this looks very in control, very calm. You can sometimes hear their toes tap and drag, but this sounds very quiet. Her elbow just came out there. You see her right elbow is sticking out, which means she's not quite comfortable on the sled, so she might have shifted her body. Her toes are coming out 1-2. But the line in the corners is very nice.
Big lead, 76 hundredths of a second. This is what she needed in the first heat. How much time is she going to gain? How long will she spend in the leader's box? 54.35. Now that in the first heat would have left her in the top 5. So that's what we kind of expected from her with her starting ability.
With Marina's huge push, 5:31 in the first run, it was a shame that she wasn't able to carry that down the run. The second run, she's put that right and showed everyone what she's capable of doing. This is Kreisel, the main big corner in the track. Very nice. She controlled a really good early entrance into 8 and the exit of 9, using her toes a bit just to help pull the sled where she wants to go.
Well, that's a really good run. There's the smile back from Marina Gilardoni of Switzerland. And she leads, takes the lead away from Joska LeConte. Now, another low country athlete. Talking to Kim Bartmans yesterday, trying to figure out the bobsledders are the Belgian bullets. And she said, I don't know, what can I be, baby bullet? I said, well, that's all right, but when you're 25 and still baby bullet, that might not work so well. Second World Championship for her.
Absolutely love all the different crash helmet designs and people showing their personalities through the sport. This is a really tough sport. Going down the track for 2 minutes a day, it's physically and mentally exhausting. And you can see that Kim is focused the whole time. She's just moving her head from side to side. She brushed the wall there and immediately reacting with her toe.
Now, you say you take 2 trips down the ice and it's mentally exhausting. How many can you do really in a day?
I wouldn't want to do much more than 2 runs a day. And I even give myself a cup of tea as a treat at the end of that.
Oh,
I know, I do. Maybe a biscuit if I'm lucky. But Kim's run here is really nice. She's got the control on the sled, the runner setting, absolutely perfect. Let's see if there's... No, she's back under control.
Good speed at the bottom as well, 117.8, fastest except for Lynette Prediger. She comes across the line, 54.83. Now that's 0.3 of a second slower than her first heat, so too much control perhaps.
Yeah, that's always the balance. When you steer too much, too little, too much control, too little. It's a really difficult game, but that's why we've got 4 runs, so there's time to make some changes. Kim had a really good run. It's a shame that Marina Gilardoni absolutely smashed it and is so far ahead of everyone else. Kim using her toes late in 8, which means that you kind of shoot up the corner, all the pressure comes on at once, and the only way you can go is up.
Yep. Dirk Matchens, the German skeleton coach, with the sled for Sophia Griebel, most experienced now of the 3 German athletes in this World Championships. Griebel from the Oberhof Club, started as a luger, been sliding skeleton since 2007, so she's got plenty of years on the ice.
She looks so calm at the start here, you know, just standing there with crossed arms, knowing what's going to happen, knowing how to switch it on. 2 hands on the sled, giving it as much force as she can at the push. You can see how Sophia leans into the sled as she pushes. Not quite as stable as some of the other athletes.
5:45, 5:49 in the first heat, but that wasn't even a top 15 start. So all three German girls coming from behind here at the start.
Yeah, they are, but the benefit is they've got 3 home tracks that they can practice and train on. The experience of their driving ability is second to none. And in the first of Sophia's run, it was perfect, but a bit too slow.
Yes.
So I want to see Sophia let it run a bit more. She just brushed the wall there on the exit rising, so hopefully she's letting it fly a little bit more.
I think one of the things you can't do at Oberhof is be a bit wild and loose, because it's quite an aerodynamic track as well, like this one. But she's closing right in, just 500s behind Gilardoni. Good run down through 14, might put her in the lead, and it does by 700s.
That shows that you just cannot give up until you have finished across the finish line.
1:19.1. Great speed at the bottom as well. That's almost as quick as we saw from anybody in the first heat. These German athletes are great at finding speed at the end of the track, aren't they?
Yeah, Marianne Thies she was perfect at that. And these German athletes learn from each other.
Well, her favourite athlete, Marianne Thies.
Oh,
yeah, no surprise.
So you can kind of see from the side here that Sophia leans into the sled a little bit too much. I think she needs to get a bit more straight behind it and put more pressure forward into the sled, and that would help her push start performance.
Sophia Griebel, your leader. Next up, Katie Uhlaender from the USA. We haven't seen her on World Cup duty this year. She's been winning the Intercontinental Cup. First American to do so. In the centre of the tray of her sled, what you can see there is a picture of her father, Ted, who passed away a couple of seasons ago.
So Katie will be thinking desperately about moving from 10th position up the ranking list. Now she's into this World Championship. She's got all the nerves out of the way. She is there to fight.
Former women's skeleton world champion. Her dad was a long-time player and then coach of the Cincinnati Reds, so he's won world titles as well in his time. 200ths of a second behind.
Everything looks pretty spot on this time. I think she'll only keep picking up more speed. What Katie's really good at is hard technical tracks. That's what Lake Placid is. It's a really demanding track mentally. Igls couldn't be more different to Lake Placid, so she needs to just let the sled run and not do too much steering. Katie's chest and shoulders lifted up a little bit there, but she's back in control, shoulders down, looking good.
Well, she was always really distinctive, her style. She always had her feet apart and used a lot of weight with the knee to balance the sled. She seems to have tailored herself a little more to a feet together, slightly more aerodynamic style.
Yeah, it's interesting how technique changes over the years. Katie has been doing the sport longer than any other competitor, and it's quite good to know that you can keep improving your technique and changing. You see how no hands were on the sled for that millisecond. It's absolutely amazing. Everything happens so quickly.
In slow motion, it looks so risky. You barely even see it with the naked eye, do you? Well, great to have her back in the field. And she says she's already looking, like you are, towards next year. Sophia Griebel leads from Marina Giardoni. Katie Uhlaender of the USA in third. Top 10 of our sliders already down the track. Fastest 10 sliders in the women's skeleton first heat. Next up, Yelena Nikitina, one of the fastest starters, set a track record just a couple of weeks ago racing here. And now the fastest getaway in the first heat. Martin Haven and Lizzie Arnold watching the action.
So Elena Nikitina and Katie Uhlaender had exactly the same downtime after run one, but their start time was completely different. Elena is the fastest in the field. So that means that Elena needs to take a fast start and help it carry down the track a lot further. She needs to minimise mistakes. So hopefully this run is a lot better for her.
Well, lots of coaches will say, give me a fast starter and I'll turn them into a driver. And that's what they have to do. That's what Billy Snyder has to do to her in the next 2 years.
Yeah, she has been a good sliding athlete, especially at tracks that she knows well. Sochi, she was fantastic there, getting the bronze medal at the Olympics. But she has struggled in Igls. I mean, that looks pretty tidy, and she is still in the green. So maybe one more run's experience, every year she's getting better. She's not been doing it as long as, you know, Katie Ulander and other athletes.
Actually, her Eagles record of all the tracks she's been to is not bad. She won the Junior World Championships here in 2012. She won a World Cup race. Her only World Cup win so far has come in January 13 here as well. And she won 2 races in January here this year as well. So she's getting a lot of track time, but still couldn't hold the lead.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when Elena Nikitina won the Junior World Championships in 2012, Lolling was 3rd. So these athletes have been competing against each other for years. There must be quite a lot of rivalry between them.
But also a lot of friendship, because it's such a small world, and even in a big team like the Germans, you're in a small team, you travel and you know everybody.
Yeah, it's a travelling family, that's for sure. You're with each other for 4 months every year.
Sick of the sight of each other by the end of the World Championships. There's your race leader, Sofia Griebel. Not quite. Lelda Brojolena next up for Latvia. Again, very few World Cup appearances this year. She's been polishing and getting ready for the World Champs.
Lelda had a really wonderful first run. Her form was spot on. Her push is getting better every year. This feels like a bit of a breakthrough year for Lelda. She's got fantastic support from the Nicholas brothers and the Latvian coaching team. Her body is touching the sled in contact with the sled. She's doing small steers with her toes, which just hit and drag. And that's getting the sled in the right position she wants. Coming into corner 7, she had a perfect middle entrance and a middle exit as well into corner 8. This is the technical section of the track, and the exit of 9 here is crucial.
Lead 1500s ahead of Sofia Griebel from the first heat. She's in the red, just a little behind, 1400s back. 17 at the bottom of the track. Now, where will she finish? 2nd, 3rd, slips 4 places, or 3 places down to 4th spot.
Yeah, I think Lelda came 13th in the World Champs last year.
Yeah.
So at the moment, this is a huge improvement. If you think every year getting a bit better, you've still got 2 years until the next Olympics.
Dennis Ducour's helping her with the sled at the bottom.
That last push step is absolutely crucial, getting as much velocity into the sled as possible. In corner 1 to 2, she drops the toe. She already knows what she needs to do for the next corner while she's in corner 1. That's excellent perception.
You have to be ahead of the sled, don't you? If you're reacting, you're never going to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great Britain's Laura Dees lying 8th after the first of our 4 heats in this Women's Skeleton World Championships. Eric Benotis, the coach. There's the support group. What a rabble. Fantastic. D's as in peas. Fantastic. What a great banner.
I know Laura is so well supported by her boyfriend Rich and her whole family that have come out to support her. She wants this. She is gunning for a medal, and every year is a progression. Last year she came 7th in Winterberg, and is looking consistent. Another good start from Laura.
Yeah, and that's all part of the armoury, starting fast and then keeping the speed on board.
Absolutely. Eric, our coach, he's an American slider, but he was sliding for years. So the experience from the coaches is crucial to tell the athletes between these runs, you know, give them a little, this is what you need to change, this is what you need to adapt. And the second run should always be a bit better than the first. A perfect middle exit from Kreisel there for Laura, coming into the technical section of corner 9, and she may just brush the wall. She saved it, she saved that line into 10, but overworking may slow her down a bit. Late height in 11.
She was late all the way through these 3 corners in the first heat. She's dropped a little behind Sofia Griebel, who picks up another spot, and in fact, Laura drops 5. So are we suddenly seeing speed going out of the track, or is it more athlete mistakes that are coming through?
It's those tiny mistakes that you make in each corner. The winners will be the athlete that gets back online the fastest. Everyone makes mistakes. So Laura needs to go back tonight, review that video with Eric. Here, corner 9. She's going to steer now to stop the sled and a little bit of a skid into corner 10. This is the crucial bit. In corner 11, very late height. When the runners aren't on the ice, it's not fast.
We're seeing it takes a couple of seconds to get through the corner. The steer, you know, you're 100th of a second or a couple of hundreds late, and it's late all the way down.
It's such a tough competition, though. You know, this is a hard sport, and everyone's on top form. This is the World Championships.
This is the support crew you saw noted on the helmet there for Kimberly Boss. On this track, a couple of years ago, she took a bronze medal in the Olympic Games, Junior Olympic Games, as a bobsled driver, converted to skeleton in 2013. Silver in the Junior Worlds last year.
Yeah, not a bad push start, actually. Being an ex-bobsleigh athlete, she will be powerful at the start. She has great driving awareness, and that corner from 2 to 3 was a big improvement from the first run. Every single run, she's getting better.
She has never raced at the senior level, and yet she led halfway down her first run. She's in the lead now over Sophia Griebel.
So this is the technical section. Kim made a mistake on the first run between 10 to 11, so that's where I'm going to focus and see whether she can have improved from the first run. A little bit of a skid here, there and everywhere on that long straight. This is the technical bit, much better than from the first run. She's got this back under control.
She was 6 when current leader Sophia Griebel started sliding.
Oh my word.
I know, it's almost a generation apart. And Sophia there, you saw she was worried. That's a great run for Kimberly Boss to come in from nowhere. Bronze medalist in the Junior Worlds this year that she went to on a whim.
She should be very proud of herself.
Absolutely.
It's a scary thing to come into your first World Championships. And the push being crucial. She needs to get up on her toes, push everything through the sled. Nice. Her knee lift is fantastic.
She's going to have what it takes, isn't she? I mean, we're looking at her in her infancy here as a skeleton slider.
Yeah, we are. You know, 5-6 years to come.
You're making a note of this.
Note, yeah.
I know you are. I know you are. And she's just so much fun. She's got a little van that she travels around in, loads everybody's sleds in, called the Bossmobile, not the Batmobile.
Oh, I love it.
I know. It's all heart. Well, next up,
Look at this start routine.
Yeah, an athlete who was just 600s out of the medals last year, just missed out on the podium that you topped in Winterberg. 6 after the first of our 4 heats for Jane Channel from Canada.
Jane has a fantastic push start. So powerful through those legs. Oh, that is a massive shame. It happened so quickly. Her hand missed the sled. It touched the ice, which meant the whole loading, getting into position, was wrong. Now she's probably just trying to work out, am I in the right position, am I not?
Still a 5.38. Her wrist may well be throbbing after that, but she's got her form clamped to the sled.
The thing is, has she let the frustration of that start affect her sliding performance? She looks like she's focused. She's still ahead.
Yeah, only 100 a second in it. Let's see what she can find at the bottom, where Sophia Griebel finds all her speed.
So the first run, Jane was a little bit messy down the bottom section of the track, so she's using her elbows, actually. They're sticking out the sled a little bit to shift her body weight and get more control. This is where Jane needs to improve, right here. Yeah, you saw a big leg lift there, unfortunately, which will slow her down.
And she drops 8 spots at the line, 10 spots at the line. A disastrous start for the second heat for Jane Channel.
That's a huge shame, bless her. I hope that she won't be thinking about that all night and worried about that. You know, that the overnight stay is where races are won and lost.
Well, at least there were no brooms in the track. She had all sorts, 3 different races last year, stuff in the track in front of Jane Channel. But here we
go, as the hands switch positions. Her right hand misses the handle and goes onto the ice, so she's now got no grip at all. Her knees drop. That's such a shame. She's such a good push athlete.
She would have wrenched her thumb there as well. You saw it catch on the handle. Yikes. Yeah, very uncomfortable for Jane Channel.
Don't be frustrated, Jane.
Sophia Griebel climbing up the order. Top 5 from the first heat still to come. Elizabeth Vache, bronze medalist in last year's World Championships for Canada. 2 Elizabeths on the podium. The other one sits alongside me. So Lizzie Arnold, what about Elizabeth Vache? Last year's sensational debut season. This year has struggled to regain that form.
I think on your first World Cup season, she started out so well. You're riding the crest of this phenomenal performance wave. And then the second year on your World Cup, you realise, you know, it's the same thing again. Maybe it's not so exciting. This is competition and it's serious. So she has struggled a little bit this season, but the pinnacle is the World Championships. This is what the whole year is about. She looks like she's in good form. She's in control. Her sled is working for her. So
less skiddy than the first heat as well.
Yeah, a lot less skiddy than the team race. Late height in 11. She will have a problem there 12. Not quite the most efficient line.
Speed down at the bottom. Highest we've seen is 19.1 from Sophia Griebel, who still leads and can't believe it. Griebel has put in a stunning run, leads with the fastest 4 still to come from the first heat.
It's lovely to see all that face time that Sophia Griebel's having. She's moving up all the spots now.
Well, Elizabeth Archie drops to 5th, and behind Griebel in her wake, Yelena Nikitina, Marina Gilardoni and Kimberly Boss are all drifting up behind her as the other athletes struggle to find the speed. So how far will Griebel reach overnight? They're only the fastest 4 to come, including teammate and arch rival Jacqueline Lurling, the silver medalist in Winterberg, her home track last year.
So at the moment we've got 3 German athletes in the top 5.
Yeah. Well, that's not unusual, is it? Not unusual.
They have had a fantastic year this year. Each nation, you know, comes and goes, but looking 2 years ahead of Pyeongchang, Germany is in a fantastic position.
Well, Jacqueline Lurling just turned 21, youth Olympic champion on this track in 2012. And by the way, the new youth Olympic champion in women's skeleton is Great Britain's 15-year-old Ashley Pittaway, won it about half an hour ago.
Strength and depth in the British programme as well. Very
more
proud.
for you to worry about.
Good. So Lolling's home track is Winterberg. It's a long track. It's very similar to Igls in the way that you've got to be calm and let the sled carry down the track. Don't do too much steering. You can see how relaxed Jacqueline is on the sled. She knows when to steer. She's lost a little bit of time, but the Germans tend to pick up the time lower down the track. She just brushed the exit of corner 7 there off Kreisel. It's catching people out.
She was 28 hundredths ahead of Sophia Griebel from the first heat. She lost a 10th at the start. She's now 17 hundredths back. Doesn't look like there's much speed in the ice if she can't find it.
Yeah, the track's not long enough for Jacqueline Lolling.
Wow.
And now her teammate Sophia Griebel has overtaken Lolling and
There's
moved
the coach,
up
Jens Muller.
to the top 4.
And Lolling, everybody who's now come down has dropped 5 spots, dropped 5 spots, dropped 5 spots.
So
Vache,
that can be you know, so many reasons. It could be ice deterioration, it could be energy of the athletes. They've been training for 3 days now. So the push is something that Lolling needs to improve and work on. She's very tall, so with her long arm that actually gives her knees a bit more space to get up to her chest. And this is the Kreisel where she just brushed the wall, very close to the wall on the left there, but back in position, a beautiful round corner in 8.
Elizabeth Archie there offers her congratulations. They're tied for 5th, 23 hundredths off the current leader, Sophia Griebel. Fastest 3 from our first heat to go. Griebel can't do the unthinkable and go 10th to 1st, can she?
This is a huge moment for Annie O'Shea. She should be so proud of her, all her performances this year. She's never been in the top 3. She's not been in the top 6 at a World Championship, so she just needs to hold on, and she can do it.
She was telling us earlier in the season how she started the year with a new mind coach to turn her form around, to get her to snap out of that start and to focus on the drive and relax, and it has yielded dividends. She's 42 hundredths up on Sophia Griebel. Gap comes down a fraction at the Kreisel, still nearly 4 tenths clear.
Her Kreisel was pretty perfect in the first run and was again in the second run. She's gone from being a good push athlete to a good sliding athlete now. When you believe you can win, as she did in Lake Placid, she won the race this year. When you believe you can do it, there's nothing stopping you.
It's all between the ears. 13 hundredths of a second is the lead. Will she be in front of the line? It's going to be close. And she's 100th behind. Griebel can't believe it. This is stunning.
So most races are 2 runs, so this would be the end of a race. The World Championships are over 2 days, 2 runs each day, like the Olympic Games. So Sophia Griebel, if this was a normal race, she would now be in the top 3, but we've got another day to go and another day of fighting.
54.30 slide from Sophia Griebel. No one's come close in the last 6 sleds.
You can see that the track, almost like a humpback bridge, goes up and down 9 to 10. And Annie O'Shea's body position was calm, collected. and empowered.
And at least she didn't drop 5 spots, so she will be possibly in the top 3 overnight. Let's see what happens with our fastest 2 from the first heat. Here's the hometown queen. If anyone can find speed to keep Sophia Griebel behind, it could be Janine Flock of Austria.
I really feel that Janine's been waiting all her life for this moment. Her home crowd, there are hundreds of people out there supporting her.
She said she's been spending the last 2 years exclusively focused on these 2 days.
Her new coach, Mickey, you can see shouting there. He's been working with her this year. This is his home track as well. An Austrian athlete, silver medal in the World Championships 25 years ago from Mickey. So that inspiration and knowledge will help Janine down the track.
5:49 start. Annie O'Shea with a 5:40 start couldn't hold off Sophia Griebel, the runaway success in the second heat, but Janine Flock had a bigger advantage over Griebel.
What you'll see with Janine is her toes are stuck together like glue. Her head will move, and that lovely new crash helmet says, her head will move tilting left to the right. She's making small adjustments.
4,200s ahead from the first heat. She's still 4,200s ahead. Little skid 9 to 10.
But she didn't panic. She knows that when she gets into 10, she will find it again. She'll get back online. This is an excellent run from Janine.
She's matching Sophia Griebel for pace. Comes across the line, having lost just 500ths of a second on that run to Sophia Griebel. Griebel finally ousted, but will be in a medal position overnight, guaranteed. As will Janine Flock. Is that half the job, or is that just, I've got to forget that, I've still got a job to do?
Every athlete is so different. You know, those athletes who haven't done a World Championships before, they've got no idea the stress they're in for tonight. But Janine, she's been at the game, she's been at World Championships before, she's experienced. This corner 9, when she starts to skid, she does not panic. Her toes hardly move.
World Cup champion last year, twice a European champion. She's got a bronze medal from the team competition. She leads with 1 faster athlete from the first heat still to go, and that is our World Cup runaway points leader, Germany's Tina Hermann. This is the battle we expected all year long.
Tina Hermann's start in the first run was the same time as Janine Flock, and it's 200ths of a second slower in the second run. She was a little bit slower getting in position just then. Maybe she's a bit worried, having seen Janine come down in such a fantastic time.
Janine started 5:47 in the first heat, so did Tina. Janine's just started 5:49 in the second heat, so has Tina. The gap is down to 1100ths.
The hard thing is, though, for Tina, she's sliding down the track knowing that everyone else is at the bottom, watching her, wanting her to go slowly or to make a mistake. This is where Tina needs to hold on to the lead. Don't
About 1100ths now. The gap was 15 when she lay down on the top of the ice. Will it be in single digits? Still 1100ths. This is where she flew at the bottom. 1:19.2 is great speed. She'll be our overnight leader by 1600ths of a second.
Very nice run from Tina Hermann. Didn't panic at all. She is our World Cup leader this year so far. She is the world's best, and very pleased for her that she's in first position overnight.
Led by 1500ths after the first heat, by 1600ths over Janine in the second heat.
Here the start again. It's something that she always needs to improve on. Her right hand, I think, she can't quite get it out of position. She's struggling. Maybe that's the nerves, who knows?
Every time you load on the sled, it must be fractionally different. She's looking at the split times, but there is your overnight leader, Tina Hermann of Germany, 1600ths ahead of Janine Flock. Sophia Griebel tied for 10th, up to 3rd. Kimberly Boss, the young sensation, in 7th. Marina Gialdoni climbed the order, so did Yelena Nikitina. And Annie O'Shea is 100th out of the medals overnight in 4th place. Well, next up, our remaining 6 sliders. So Corinna Meyer of Austria blasts away, 21st spot after the first heat.
Yeah, nice second run. Corinna made a mistake in the top section in the first run, which she's now improved. Looking really nice now in the slow section of the track, the flat section of the track. You want to do as little as possible and let the sled carry with the speed down.
We're seeing now the gap to our leader, Tina Hermann. What's interesting, though, is the gap to 20th place is where the guillotine falls after heat 3, and she was 11 hundredths behind Julia Kanakina after the first of our 2 heats today. 2 seconds back.
So this is a home track for Karina, of course. She knows the track so well. She's been sliding it for years. Her body position is perfect. She knows where she is at all times, even in this labyrinth section where athletes tend to get lost.
2.34 behind, 2.36. She's 200ths of a second out of the top 20. Jacqueline Narracott of Australia is 20th at the moment. We just saw Tina Hermann come down, set a speed of 119.2 kilometres an hour. Next slid down, Karina Meyer, 116.9, so 2.3 Ks slower. And again, that's experience and knowledge and speed at the start and everything coming together.
Yeah, Mickey there, yelling at the athletes, trying to encourage them as much as he can. Coaches is such a big part of athletes' performance.
He used to yell at you, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
You know that voice. Not many Austrians haven't coached the Brits over the years. Andy Schmidt is still involved in the programme. Mickey has been for many years. Mark Wood is the honorary Austrian, the development coach. He must be so excited. A youth Olympic champion in Lillehammer. Next up, Anastasia Schlapak, her walk-on music, the theme from Tetris. Ask your father, younger viewers, what Tetris was. This is very left field, Anastasia, but another great young talent in this Russian programme.
Making sure she's got the right grip on the sled. You don't want it to come out of your hand. Quite a short run, actually. I reckon she could do a few more steps into the push there. But her feet are perfectly together, again, like the normal Russian way, swinging her toes from left to right to help with the weight distribution, leading with her head.
Now, is that a Willi Schneider thing? Is that what he teaches them because that's how he thinks it works best, do you reckon?
I'm not sure. I think every athlete's different, and they learn not only from the other athletes in the world, but their own, teammates. So quite a high line in the Kreisel. Hopefully she doesn't brush the wall. She did a bit of a skid, got her toes down to try and pull the sled straight.
Well, she was up into the top 20, but she slipped outside. She's in front of Karina Meyer of Austria at the moment, but a lot of work down at the bottom of the track.
Yeah, loads of work, and that's just going to slow you down on a track like this. With her legs sort of swinging from side to side aggressively, it doesn't keep the sled under control.
55-52 slide, so she stays behind Karina Meyer. In fact, I think the gap has opened up a little bit. Where were they in the first heat? She was 800s behind, and she is now, what's 53 minus 36?
So the Kreisel here, because she had a high height in the first oscillation, it means that she swung out of the and left the exit of corner 7 late into 8, actually hit the wall before 8, and the only way is up. This is further down in the labyrinth section of the track. Another skid, toes coming out. It's just lack of experience more than anything. That will come in time.
So Anastasia Schlapak. Next up is Maria Montejano from Spain. Girl from Barcelona, got into the sport. She used to go and pick up friend Ander Mirambel from the airport, and eventually one time went with him and tried this sliding on ice. Brother Ramon told us in last year's World Championships, I'll be sliding by this time next year. Ramon, he's finished his degree, now's the time to start.
Absolutely. It's so great when your siblings are in the same sport as you, because you know you share the knowledge and experience and life with each other. So she's just avoiding that left-hand wall in the top section of the track, moving her body to pull her away from the walls. The walls just slow you down. You've got to keep the 2 runners going as straight as possible, low skids. Using her toe there to help steering going into the Kreisel. Again, quite an early height and brushes the wall, so that's the outcome of allowing too much pressure in the Kreisel. And she's going to brush the wall again. Early into 10, not a bad line actually. Hopefully nice and clean for the labyrinth. Maria's first run was a bit messy down in the labyrinth. Bad line going into the final corner.
Get up looking through the turn, you've got to look for the exit so you don't hit the wall just before the timing eye and ruin your run even more.
Yeah, they must be absolutely exhausted after 2 runs and half of the competition. You're putting absolutely everything into it.
It's amazing the tiny amount of time you actually spend on the ice compared to all the prep that goes into it.
So you can see the sled will drop and then rise again, and as it comes off the corner, she hits the wall, and this is where she's going to go late into corner 8. As you're driving around a corner in a car and you take too tight a turn, the only way to do, it's an aggressive turn, not a smooth arc.
A little skid going in that sort of helped rotate the sled as well. There's Maria. Day 1 completed for her. 3 more sliders in the first heat. Next up is Japan's Takako Oguchi. Hasn't got the speed at the start that we expected from her this season.
So 2 hands together, which will help the first few strides in the push.
It's that loading the spring and then releasing it thing that the coaches talk about so often, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. If you're really strong and stable across your hips and your shoulders, then you're able to just have 1 hand on the sled. Some athletes like to have 2. And as she's coming off corner 2 there, you can see her head pull her down and off the corner, leading the sled where she wants it to go. Just avoiding that wall into corner 4.
So you're moving your head in the air, but presumably that's also moving your shoulders a little and putting weight on and shifting the balance.
Yeah, absolutely. The main parts of the steering are through the shoulders and knees. So if you think you're going to lean with your head to the left, your right shoulder will automatically come forward and start to steer. The major steers are with the toes that Takako's just using. Getting the sled, using an anchor, getting the sled over. And here, quite strong steering with the shoulders. You can see the shoulder come down through the labyrinth.
It's 5.80, her first heat of 55.70, so quite close, and that will have closed her up on Maria Montellano. In fact, it's put her in front of the Spaniard, so she's picked up a spot.
And I know she'll be so pleased to be here at the World Championships, having not been well recently. It's great to be here and being part of it all. A little skid, using her toes to get back on line. And this is corner 8, early into corner 8. She hit, got pushed away, and she's going to swoop up late. Her head's down. She knows where she's going. She's not panicking.
There's Takako. She picks up a spot. Next up, slider from the Virgin Islands. This is Katie Tannenbaum. Martin Rettel, another Austrian former world champion in the coaching lineup. He's won a title. Andy Schmidt's won a title. Mickey Grunberger's won a title. Christian Auer, who's running the event here, former world champion for Austria as well.
Just keeping warm at the start here. You've got to keep the muscles warm before the big push. Getting the feet in position so those spikes on her toes dig into the ice and they're less likely to slip.
A bit of soca, her walk-on music at the top, keeping that Caribbean feel alive.
Sprint position with her hands. And into position very quickly. The eyes desperately focusing down into corner 1.
They always say driving racing cars, the car follows the eyes. Is that the same for a sled as well?
It is, absolutely, especially at high speed. So if your track's Whistler, where you're dropping at 90 miles an hour, you just need to think about going left, and you will go left. The aerodynamics of that crucial in the sport. So one leg was up and one leg was down there, so that's a bit of lack of experience. You need to keep your legs together, keep the pressure through the runners and the sled under control. Out of the Kreisel here, just dragging her toe to get the best line. Now this is the technical section, really important exit of 9. Her runners are straight, really nice line into 10.
You can just see when they're coming towards you, the runners aren't flat all their length on the ice, are they? They're like a little rocking chair.
Yes, we put rock into the runners so that your footprint can be short or long, which means you have a little of the runner in contact with the ice or a lot of the runner. You can change that between runs. So there's lots that athletes can actually do and change.
And the longer the contact patch is, the greater the friction, so it slows you down more but gives you more control.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And a short rock, a short contact patch.
You get a nice you get a bit of a crazy ride. So that's the scorpion leg just lifting up there when you've got late height. This is corner 12, but she's controlled that pressure into corner 13. This is so fast down here. It's such a tough sport.
Really see the way it bounces the body as well. Trying to keep your head off the ice is hard work on the neck muscles. Our final slider in the second of our 4 heats in this Women's Skeleton World Championship is Poland's young Marta Orlowska. It's her second World Championships. We first met her last year in Winterberg. She's never yet raced at World Cup level. That, I'm sure, will come next year for the 22-year-old. She's only raced at Igls in Austria here once in her short career.
Using her toes as soon as she came out of the spur then, realising that she needed to pull the sled to the right. And now into corner 2, the ideal is to do as little as possible. Where she brushed the wall there, you just got to try and get back online. The problem is, when you hit one wall, it can affect the run, so you hit another, then you hit another. This is the main corner, the largest corner of the track reprisal. Early height, so she may have an issue coming out and hitting on the left, which she did. And now corner 9, the most crucial exit of the corner because there's a long straight into 10. And now travelling about 115 kilometres an hour, having to react very quickly.
Through the finish line to complete the first day of Women's World Championship sliding. Marta Orlowska of Poland, 56.94 slide, 56.89 in the first heat, so only 0.05 of a second slower. Track hasn't been helping too much in terms of speed, so she clearly tidied up a couple of the issues. She was very wild, 8, 9 and 10 in the first heat, looked a lot more controlled this time.
This is corner 8. She actually got pushed by the hit on the wall. She got pushed earlier into 8. That kind of saved her a bit.
Yeah.
There.
There's her teammate. We'll see him in the competition tomorrow. This afternoon, in fact, the men's competition.
What I quite like about what I love about the World Championships is tonight these top 3 athletes will be going back, writing notes, reviewing this video, working out how they can get quicker for tomorrow. Tina Hermann is an absolute demon. She has been sliding fantastically this season.
Tina Hermann, our overnight leader. Janine Flock of Austria, 0.16 of a second back. The gap grew by just 100th in the second heat. And Sophia Griebel of Germany rose from joint 10th to 3rd place ahead of Annie O'Shea by 100th. Nicotina 100th further back. Marina Gilardoni 500ths further back. And then Kimberly Boss ahead of Jacqueline Lurling, who, like Elizabeth Arche, Lalda Pregelena, Katie Ulenda, Laura Dees, they all slipped down the order in the second heat. Middle of the second heat saw a lot of sliding down slippery snakes, and they will hope to climb the ladders back up in our 3rd heat tomorrow. We'll go in our ranked order, so leader Tina Hermann will be first on the ice. Whether that's good or bad for her remains to be seen, and then we will cut the fields to the fast 20 who go into the 4th and final heat here in Innsbruck to decide the World Championship medals. Join Lizzie Arnold and me, Martin Haven, tomorrow. Thank you for being with us for this first day of action from the Women's World Championships. We'll see you for all the racing tomorrow. Until then, it's Auf Wiedersehen from Austria.